All right, we're at the end of the session. Hey, this is Zuul, and this is Butter, and this is their roadmap to success. Now, this session we worked mostly with Butter. Butter was under-socialized as a puppy and had a couple negative experiences and was with her guardian pretty much non-stop. So I think she has some insecurities as a result. Right now she's practicing what we call avoidance. So she's not looking at Zuul. Zuul, despite the fact that it's gotten, Butter's gone after Zuul a couple times, Zuul's just like, hey, I still want to be your buddy. I want to hang out with you. So part of this is I wanted to have them here just to show you can have them together. I know that you can achieve, one of the guardians achieves this from time to time, but having them be together, practicing being calm is the name of the game. Once either one of them is reacting, bad. Now the fact that she sat down is really good. If you're about to get jacked or mugged or whatever, you don't sit down, you don't care what your hair looks like. So if you see self-grooming or sitting or laying down, that's usually a good indicator. Both of these dogs kind of have similar situations in terms of not having a lot of rules. They both could probably use a little bit more exercise, but the guardians do a pretty good job of that. Remember to use that, get that retractable leash, and then use that to exercise in your place as well as here, so that we can get, there we go, we like that. So we can get more energy here before they meet together. Now what I would do is when you're coming here, I would have that retractable leash, I would have the high value training treats that I have, go to the stairs, and go to the, and first of all, you're gonna do like I talked about off camera, you're gonna go to the stairs with a retractable leash when there are no other dogs around, empty stomach, throw the treat down the bottom of the stairs. Dogs are the only animal that can read a human facial expression. So if you have funny command words, the dogs can recognize that you're pleased, and that pleases them. So when you come up with new command words, try to say fun words. I don't call this lay down for my dogs, I call this crash. I say crash, my dog flops down, most people laugh and smile. My dog is now motivated to want to do that. Yes, I know. So basically, come up with a fun word like lobby and penthouse or whatever. Lobby to go down the stairs, penthouse to go up. So the first time do it with an empty stomach until she's just like, I'm not coming back up anymore. And count each down up as 1. Now you know what the maximum number is. And then once you, the maximum number is say 25, then maybe we give her 10 or 15 of those as a practice run when we're burning off energy. Now, before we come over here, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take her to the stairs and do the practice run 15 up or down or whatever it is to burn off that excess energy. Go down to the lobby.
With them?
No, just with her.
Okay.
This is before you even come in here. So
okay.
She's just hanging out here. You do this in the, on the stairs, and then you just hang out in the lobby for about 10 minutes. Give her a chance to stop breathing heavy and settle herself. Once that's the case, then call up, and if you guys can do this, then Alex comes down with Zuuli, and then you guys go for a walk together. So we set her up for success by burning off her excess energy. Dogs get over things by literally moving forward. So we have them practice being together. When you do that, I would have one here and one on the other side of the human. Don't let either one go in front, and don't let them cross or interact with each other. Zuuli was going to want to play with her. We just want them to spend some time practicing being together without interacting, so they can smell, see, and hear each other without the pressure of actually interacting. Because it's downtown Santa Monica, we've got a lot of distractions that are going on, so she won't be focusing here. And then they practice being together without fighting, which is really beneficial for both of them. We also do a little excess energy. And then when we come back up here, then what we're going to do is we're going to get the puppy play gate. It's 8 panels. I would put one panel up against the bar here, then 2 panels that go this way, 2 panels that come this way, and another one going here. Get a weight, just look at Craigslist or something for a couple dumbbells, and put them there and here to anchor it in place. I would also take a piece of cardboard for the 1 or the 2 panels that are going this way. I would put it here so that if Zuul's hanging out, Zuul's going over there and staring at her, and you don't see it, she can move herself over and put the dog bed right there in the corner where my bag is. So that way she can move herself outside of the line of sight. You might also want to get a kennel and a covered kennel, so instead of doing the cardboard, you just put the kennel in, so if Zuuli's looking at her, she just goes into her kennel and he can't see into her kennel, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We want them to spend some time together. Now, I also talked about several other little tricks for the 2 of them, and we'll go through those first, and then we'll go through the general maintenance stuff that I do for all my clients. So I went over how to do a conditioned emotional response with scent. So what I want to do is I want to have Butter practice smelling Zuul without the presence of Zuul. So what we do is Zuul's guardian is going to take a towel and just rub it over her for about 30 minutes, and then basically put it in a Ziploc bag, give it to Butter's guardian. Butter's guardian is going to take it home, and then basically have a handful of treats, both hands behind her back, flash the towel, and as soon as she sniffs it, we're going to pull the towel away and then drop a treat on the ground. Now, if we flash it and she doesn't, don't wiggle it or put it more, pull it away and do it again, and she doesn't get a treat. The only way she gets a treat is by taking a sniff, which is pretty easy to do. After a while, she'll do it more and more, and she'll do it pretty quickly. Yeah, at first you might have to actually put it on the floor, let her sniff it, then pull it away and drop the treat there, but eventually she'll just be able to hold it back and forth. Now the other thing I went over is to help build a positive association to the smell, which is the most important thing for dogs, of Zuul to Butter. The second one is the sight, because right now I think one of the problems they get into is staring at each other. And she doesn't like when she stares, and she stares because she's really fascinated with her. And so, but it creates a problem. So what we want to do is create a positive association with the sight. So what we did was we had one of the guardians behind the couch and one of them over here. We took one of the Tricky Trainer treats, we smashed it so it was flat, and then held it here. Now if I hold it, I can move the dog's head wherever I want, just by wherever I hold the treat. So the idea is have her on a leash, and have her at whatever distance away you can get her to sit and take the treat. Those are your two litmus tests. If she won't sit or she won't take the treat, you're too close and it's too intense, and you cannot practice with her reacting at all. The whole point is practice calm. Same thing with the CER, but that's easier. So basically, let's say we're at 10 feet away, and it's as close as we get where she'll sit and take the treat when she can see the other dog. Then we have basically one person with Zuul, and just basically, let's say the barrier is here and she's over here about 10 feet. I would take Zuul, hold Zuul here, and then pull Zuul away. But before Zuul appears, we pop a treat in her mouth or she starts nibbling on the treat. It's important she starts nibbling on the treat. The reinforcer is delivered first before the stimulus. So she's chewing on this, and then Zuul appears, and then Zuul disappears right around the same time the treat disappears. So just hold the dog out for about 1 second each time. And then once you can do that, where she's looking at the other dog and pretty comfortable, you should try it every once in a while without the treat and see if she looks without. There's a difference between like looking like and looking like.
Yeah.
So that's intense is what we don't want. So if once we keep on practicing until the dog, she can look at Zuul in a normal tone and then maybe look away in normal visual acuity. Then we move 1 foot closer and practice again. Always end on a good one. This is going to take you probably a week, depending on how often you practice, a week to a couple weeks. Don't practice too long, maybe about 1 to 2 minutes each practice round, 90 seconds, 120 seconds maximum. Most people practice too far, too long, and then start stressing out the dog. We want to end on a good one so she remembers, last time I saw Zuul, I had a tasty treat on my mouth, Zuul was far enough away, I felt comfortable and relaxed about the whole deal. And each time you should be able to get a little bit closer. We go at the dog's pace. If she won't sit or won't take the treat, you move too fast. So I'd like you to do the visual acuity when you're here. Try to do it 2 or 3 times per visit. And then the CER with the scent, you should try to do that 3 times a day, but the more you practice these things, the faster and the better that they're going to get. So practice that as much as you can, but make sure there's at least about 10 minutes between each practice round. But don't try to do like practice, wait 10 minutes, practice, wait 10 minutes. Try to sprinkle it throughout the day. In the video above, we went over the focus exercise. Make sure you practice the focus exercise. I described how often to do that in there. But you really want to practice to get to the 15-second stay within a week. And then start moving outside on your deck, and then outside actual on walks. This is perfect. This is exactly what we want them to do is practice it. Now, once we've gotten to the point where you can get within about 3 or 4 feet with her, with the visual acuity, the visual exercise I meant, then we might start doing a little bit of the tethering that we talked about, which is basically I take a leash, run it around the leg of a couch or put it underneath the couch, and then the other one we're gonna have to figure out some sort of anchor over here so they can be in the room together, but they can't reach each other, which is gonna help the human psychology because you know your dogs are safe. We have a muzzle around here, but the muzzle we really only do when the dogs start getting really like this close. See that? She heard that, her ear twitched. She didn't lift her head up because she's comfortable, because I'm kind of creating a situation where she's comfortable, but this is pretty close, and this is not the ideal for her to look up because he's higher, or she is higher than she is. That can create a response. But just having her practice being near without reacting and the negative stuff, without pounding and bouncing and all the rest of this, we want her to practice also being chill around Butters, as well as Butter, Butter being chill around her. And again, the exercise is going to help with that. Now, Butter or Zuul, exercise can actually help for Zuul as well. So if Zuul is going to be full of beans, make sure she's exercised before you guys come over. Maybe you do the stairs on a different stair set. There's probably 2 in the building. So you do it at the same time so they both have depleted that energy and set them both up for success. Okay, so those are basically some of a lot of the things we went over with these specific dogs, but there's a lot of other little things that the humans can change on their own that will actually have a positive impact on the dogs. So most dogs, one of the first questions I ask all my clients are, what rules do your dogs have? And most people struggle to come up with any rules their dogs have. If your dog doesn't have any rules, then it sees you as a peer. If it sees you as a peer, then listening to you is optional, and it also make the dog think, I need to contribute to the group by protecting my human. Now you want to stay here. Sit, You can't hit that yet.
See.
There we go. There we go. So the visual is what the problem is. So we're just recreating a situation where I can't see. And you see, as soon as that happened, stiffness went away. See if we'll achieve it SIT. Oh, now we're going to sniff the treats. That's a little bat training, which we might do in a, there we go. If this was really intense aggression, that would never settle down that fast. We would remove the dog, let it settle down over there, and then try to recreate this whole deal. So that tells me this, although we don't like any of this, that tells me this is very treatable. Okay, so other things we went over are rules to incorporate. One of the rules I suggested is she should not be allowed in the furniture at all for at least 30 days or as long as problems going on. She should not be allowed in the furniture without an invitation. But if possible, we could try to keep them both down a little, it would be beneficial. And then when she gets an invitation, it's only for good behavior. And maybe that would be a consequence. So if she's up on the furniture, she starts staring, she has to get down. Okay. Now don't push her towards her because that'll create a fight, but that's a form of operant conditioning as well. Based on what the dog does, something happens or something doesn't happen. So basically, if I stare at the dog, then I lose the privilege of being on the couch. I like being on the couch, so maybe I shouldn't stare at the dog. So that's a way of modifying this behavior without punishing or being aggressive about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Other rules, I make sure that the human is eating before they feed the dog. Don't leave the food in the bowl. Give the dog the opportunity to eat, and as soon as the dog walks 5 or more feet away from the bowl, then pick up the bowl, dump it, and put the empty bowl back down. It's important to put the empty bowl back down, so every time the dog walks by, it notices the bowl is empty, the bowl is empty, the bowl is empty. My human is providing me the food. That reinforces the human's the leader because they eat first in front of the dog before they give him permission to eat. The human is providing the food. The human has dominion over the food. It really helps, and it's the most important activity for dogs. Other rules, I make the dog sit before I let it enter out of the door. If I say sit, the dog doesn't sit within 3 seconds. I walk away, sit down, and I wait 1 minute before I go back and try again. Next time I would walk away for 2 minutes, then for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. Keep on doubling length of time. Don't get mad. Don't say it multiple times. The more you say a command, the less you mean it. So if you repeat a command over and over again, the dog's just like, I don't have to listen to her. She'll say it 20 more times. I do it on the 19th time. And they're practicing not listening to us, and that's another way that they think they're leaders versus followers. The more we enforce rules consistently, the more the dogs see us acting like a leader, and it's going to make them feel more comfortable with our leadership and keeping them in a safe environment. Now, let me see, other rules, not being allowed in the kitchen when we're preparing food. Don't let them go out of a door ahead of you. The dog should have to follow you because for dogs, whoever's in front is literally perceived to be the leader. Mm-hmm. So if you let her walk in front of you on a walk, she's going to be more reactive to every dog that you see because you're putting her in the leadership position. So you need to get her walking next to you. She's wearing a choke chain, which I talked to the guardian about. For short snouted dogs, you want to use a harness, not even a collar like this, because they have problems and they have breathing problems to begin with. Now, a harness makes it easier for the dog to pull. For her, again, on walks, once we've achieved the focus exercise, if we see another dog, we want to say focus, get the dog to look at us, and then we want to move away at first. Eventually, when we do this, we want to be able to say focus and hopefully incorporate a little distance and let the dog walk past us while the dog is looking at us. But if you start doing that and the dog keeps on going, looking at the other dog when it passes, you might not want to do that. You might want to actually just wait a little bit longer for that. Again, the whole point is we want her to practice being around other dogs and around this dog without being aggressive. Once they're aggressive, then they're not going to learn anything. So once she's reactive, she's not going to hear anything. You're not going to teach her anything. The only thing you do is increase the distance between her and whatever the other dog is. Sometimes you have to walk around a car or a building and then practice the focus exercise. Help her recenter herself. All right. Yes, I know it's so tough being a Zuulie, isn't it? All right, let me see. What else? We went over petting with the purpose of passive training. Petting with a purpose is if you want to pet your dog or the dog is initiating contact with us, instead of doing what the dog wants, we tell the dog to do something first to earn our affection. We make it sit. If it's already sitting, nice, come and sit over here, or make it lie down. When it does sit or lie down, pet it under its chin and say just the command word. Don't say good sit, just say sit. And come up with funny command words if you can, if you're teaching new tricks or commands. And teaching, Alex and I talked about this. He doesn't really teach her a lot because she's pretty well behaved, but he can boost her self-esteem by teaching her some new tricks. And also he can help your dog have more self-esteem by teaching new tricks. Go to YouTube. All these dog trainers want to be Cesar Millan, they want a TV show. They'll teach you how to do all these dog tricks for free. Try to set a goal of teaching the same dogs the same tricks separately once a week.
Yeah.
And that way, each week, you can teach them something new. Also, for the focus exercise and teaching the exercises, I'd like you both to practice with each other's dogs. So the dogs see both of you guys as being a leader. Are you practicing a little avoidance, or you just want to get Yes, you do. We're almost done with this. Now, that's petting with a purpose. If the dog tells you what to do, or you want to pet the dog, you tell the dog to do something else, pet it on a shin and say sit or whatever it is. And say paycheck. If you come in the room, you see someone's petting the dog where it's standing, you suspect they may have forgotten to pet with a purpose. Passive training is waiting for the dog to organically, voluntarily offer you the behavior that you want without any influence. So Alex was mentioning he wished she had a stronger recall. Well, every time she comes over to him on her own, pet her and say come. Every time she sits down, pet her and say sit. Every time she lays down on her own, pet her and say crash, or whatever the word is. So now the dogs are starting to get rewarded for certain specific desired actions and behaviors. They're going to start emulating those behaviors more often. Also, we can use those behaviors to redirect them and get them out of trouble. Just like anything else, if you are a water skier, you're going to get better at it the more you do it. If you stop doing it for a couple of years, you're not going to be able to do it very well. So they need to practice, even though they can sit really easily in an easy situation when there's no one around. Ask me to sit when there's another dog walking by, that's really hard for a dog. But the more you practice sitting and every time, for passive training and petting with a purpose, makes it easier for the dog to do so. Let me see. We also went over, well, I'm trying to think. I guess that pretty much summarizes just about everything we went over. Yeah. Now, the main thing is I know it's frustrating. If any of the humans are frustrated or the dogs are frustrated, we need to make sure that we don't channel that. So if one of you is having a bad day, maybe that's a good day for her to stay at home and you come over and visit independently. And that would be helpful for him to come to your house and visit independently so they can get to meet you, or not that they haven't met you, but to get to spend time around you without the other dog. And sometimes jealousy and all those other things come to pass. And then make sure, like I said, we always, anything that we're doing with the dogs, we always end on a positive note, especially when we're doing training, like the focus exercise and anything else, so they feel good about themselves. Otherwise, they're going to remember, last thing I remember being around that other dog was it was growling at me, or I was growling at it. And that creates more problems. All right, well, this is Zulie, and this is, I think, sleeping. Is this Butter? Is she asleep? That's a really good sign. Sleeping, legs out, back to the dog. The dog is right here. She knows that this is a very vulnerable position for her. Yeah. So this is very trusting. And she did show a lot of signs of trying to get herself out of trouble. She went over here. She turned her head away. She looked away. It was only when Zulie was staring too much that she started reacting. So she's trying to do it. She just doesn't know all the little things. So if we can help her start to see her human as being independent, because the human is enforcing rules, adding structure through petting with a purpose, rewarding desired actions through passive training, she's going to start seeing the human as being the leader so that she doesn't have to protect. And that's one of the issues. Not the only reason why she's reacting is because of insecurities and lack of practice. The other things we talked about, exposing the scent, exposing the sight, the focus exercise, creating a safe area for her to hang out where she can't get to. All those things will help her gain more confidence and feel better about the equation. And the more time that they spend together not reacting, the closer you are to your goal to getting them to be together without reacting and fighting and being aggressive. One last thing, walking them together, and I certainly answered your question, but walking them together is a wonderful thing. So do that as much as you can. You don't have to do it just like I described when you first show up.
Yeah,
you can do it other times as well. They both love doing it. It's a nice way for you to stretch your legs. Down to Santa Monica, it's December, it's here. Tomorrow I'm going to be in a place where it's icy. So enjoy the nice weather. And the more that but don't let one be in front. If one's in front, that creates a rivalry. Then I want to get in front.
Yeah,
and now
she doesn't know how to walk on a leash.
Okay, so that may be something you might need to hire a dog trainer. I'm happy to do it with you, or you can find somebody else, or go to YouTube and look for loose leash training. Just never jerk or pull the dog. That's the worst thing you can do if you're trying to treat your dog with a loose leash, because it just activates. They have what's called an opposition reflex. Every time you pull, you're helping them basically develop a muscle of pulling more. And just like if I put my finger down my throat, I'm going to gag. I don't have any choice. If you pull against the leash, she is programmed to pull against it. She will have no choice. It's one of the biggest mistakes people make with dogs is they pull them when they get out of position to walk, and you just make them pull more. All right, what was your question?
I don't remember. Well, like this situation right now, like how Butter is calm and how Zuul is calm. If Zuul's just laying on the couch and Butter's laying on her bed over there, like, is that acceptable, like, after you leave right now?
Yeah, as long as, But like I said, make sure that she only gets on the couch with an invitation. And if she starts staring at Butter, then she has to get down. Not towards Butter, but that's also operant conditioning. So when I stare at Butter, I lose the privilege of being on the couch. I like being on the couch, So therefore, I'll stop staring at Butter and I can retain that privilege.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of repetition before she'll get that message. So don't get mad that she's not learning it right away. Every dog, just like us, has different learning curves.
I think you have to supervise them if they're in the same room.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But eventually we want to get to the point where hopefully we can have them in a room where they're not reacting under supervision, and we want to make sure we keep it safe. So anytime, and if you want to use the muzzle, let me know. I can show you how you can do the CER for the muzzle. But we want to make, if that's the case, she needs to be practicing wearing the muzzle at home when she's calm and relaxed and there's no other dog around. So it becomes a normal thing that's associated with a lot of belly rubs and attention. And only after she's completely comfortable do we put it on her when she's with her. But it's only when we're trying to do the final stage where when they're pretty much really good together. Mm-hmm. By the time you put the muzzle on her and have them together, you should be like 99% sure that you've passed the problem.
Okay,
We
so
just do it as
that's
a
the
safe
final.
guard. That's like one of the final guards, final issues, steps. Any other questions?
But we're not a lost cause. Like this is very as long as we
this
do.
is nice and relaxed.
As long as we do what you have been saying and like every day and practicing it, like it should be solved over time.
It'll take time and practice. Now, if you get a roadblocks, things stop working, and you're gonna have ebbs and flows. You're gonna have a good day, and then suddenly you're gonna have a bad day. Doesn't mean everything is out just like us. Sometimes we have a good day and a bad day and we ebb and flow. So if you have a bad day, just keep it short. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. Try to avoid having them here for prolonged periods of time.
Okay.
That's stressful for her. So really what you'd like to have her come over as shorter sessions, maybe an hour or less. I know it's not as convenient, but that way she comes over, hopefully what we'd love to have her is come over here and not growl once.
And a good experience.
Because we create a situation where she doesn't feel the need to growl. And then next time she comes over, she's like, man, last time I was here, I didn't growl once. Then we went second visit and third visit. That's what we're looking for is no reactivity, but don't push them to get together too far too fast. That's the mistake most people make.
Okay.
All right, well, this is Zuul, and this is Butter, and this is the roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.